help me welcome to the DebX stage, Heather Joy Magdelano.
I lived for years wishing someone would just tell me everything would be okay, but no one ever did. So I had to discover this truth for myself, and I found it in the most unlikeliest of places, through rest and doing nothing. Let me explain. On our son's 8th day of life, we were given the news that he had been born with a rare genetic syndrome called Wolff-Hirschhorn syndrome. Simply put, this means he's missing a tiny piece of his 4th chromosome. 21 months later, our daughter was born with the same genetic syndrome. Suddenly, I had 2 babies to care for, both of them born with multiple disabilities, including being visually impaired and hearing impaired. Their genetics would eventually affect them in all areas of their development. On the outside, no one ever could have known how difficult it was. And on the inside, I was so depleted, I was experiencing hallucinations as I struggled to care for my children. I was getting up multiple times in the night to change, feed, soothe, and troubleshoot. Over time, I eventually became so exhausted that the devout care of my babies left me feeling empty of hope, joy, or anything that resembled myself. I lived in this high state of alert for years, and I now know that I desperately needed to grieve, but I didn't know how. In my mind, I didn't have time to feel the disappointment, anger, fear, and loneliness. I didn't have time to slow down. And as you might guess, with all this stress, my marriage was unraveling. And when our grandson, my stepson's son, was diagnosed with the same genetic syndrome, my life completely shattered. One day, I was sharing some of these feelings with an extraordinary life coach who had taken me under her wing. She encouraged me to do the most interesting thing. She encouraged me to do nothing. She wasn't telling me to do something like just relax like so many others had. She was giving me permission to do nothing. Her suggestion brought me back to my childhood. As a little girl, I have this memory of myself peeking into my grandmother's pink rose wallpapered bedroom to spy on her. She took a 10-minute nap every day without fail. Her arms peacefully crossed over her chest, the house momentarily quiet. It wasn't until right now, decades later, that when I truly understood why these rest breaks were so important. This was her way of doing nothing. I got curious about what this might feel like in my own body. So for a first attempt, I attended a yoga nidra, or sleep yoga class, in which I was given permission to do just that, to do nothing. I created a comfortable pallet on the floor using blankets and bolsters. This cozy nest was just for me. I was finally able to rest. It felt so good to rest. I could sense it was exactly what my body needed. And it was during this first deep rest experience that an inner world began to unfold. I began to imagine a world of new possibilities where caregivers could be seen and held and cared for, where we could explore rest practices together, where we could witness one another transforming, where we could feel loved and belonging in community. In this moment of rest, a seed was planted, and within a couple of months, Journey into Joy was born, a support group for parent caregivers to practice resting collectively. And we have been resting together monthly for the past 9 years. And what has rest done for me? Well, it's helped me recover from physical exhaustion, layers of hurt falling away, joint pain completely dissolving. I started to feel better. I started to feel like myself again. Slowing down has allowed me to connect more deeply with my children. I now accept them for who they are, as opposed to who I once hoped they would become. And because of rest, our home is filled with love and squeams. Oh, a squeam is the combination of a squeal and a scream with the mouth closed. Translation, I am happy and even joyous. My husband and I now begin our day with just being before all the doing starts. Once the coffee is brewed, we make time to meditate. It was in one of these moments of slowing down when I received a message, like an internal quiet whisper. Heather Joy, you have everything you need. Everything will be okay. Just like a warm embrace, these were the words I had been longing for. I realize now that my grandmother gave me permission all those years ago to know it is okay to lay down and rest and do nothing. These days, I take at least a 10-minute rest every day without fail. And because of rest, my husband and I are now more in love than ever. Our relationship is interwoven with more gentleness, more patience and joy, and our conversations are more connected. These days, while caregiving and resting side by side, we refer to each other as the dream team. Truthfully, life is as challenging as ever. But because of rest, I can now face life's ongoing challenges with more ease, grace, trust, and clarity. Whether you are a caregiver or not, as a society, we're not taught to care for ourselves. In fact, many of us give until we have nothing left. The truth is, we all need care. Rest is about receiving care, a choice to step away from the demands of getting things done, achieving, purchasing, planning, and consuming, a choice available to all of us. Over the years, I've learned that rest isn't weak. In fact, as a well-rested woman myself, I am more empowered, more embodied, and more in alignment with my own truth than I have ever been. And now, as a yoga teacher and group facilitator, it is my deepest joy to witness others stepping into their own power through rest. Studies show that beginning each day with a 5-minute practice that allows for a feeling of safety and support can lead to meaningful and long-term changes. Only 5 minutes is what we need. I encourage you to get curious about what it would feel like to be rested. There are many things we can do to rest, like cloud gazing, taking time to notice all that you are grateful for despite ongoing challenges, taking a long, warm bath, or a quiet walk in nature. What rest practice calls to you? Just slowing down can make a difference. Every tiny change matters. Let's take a moment now to pause and imagine. what it might feel like to be well rested. How would that change your life? I've discovered that speaking about the power of rest can be as elusive as trying to explain to someone what love is. If you've never experienced it, you won't truly know what it is. What is love but a feeling of being held? Perhaps a reassurance that everything will be okay. This is my story of how rest transformed my life and maybe even saved me. In American Sign Language, the sign for rest is arms crossed over the chest with open palms, perhaps a gesture of receiving. The sign for love is arms crossed over the chest with closed fists, perhaps a gesture of keeping someone safe or close by. I don't think it's a coincidence that these signs are almost identical, because as I've discovered, rest is love. Thank you.